What's up, guys? Today I'm bringing you the first episode in a potentially new series called Advanced Mechanics, and this aims at getting you guys to be better Pokemon Go players by doing all of these little things that you may not even think about are affecting your gameplay, doing them correctly. So the first episode is on charge move timing, when to throw your charge moves, as to not give them bonus fast moves all the time. And to start this off, I'm just going to show a clip on just to show how effective this can be, to show that it can actually make a difference in your gameplay. We're going to take a look at the game here. We have a Bastiodon versus Galvantula, and I realized that with this team, I don't really have a swap to deal with Bastiodon, because if he takes out that counter, I'm going to go down. If you noticed, I charged 5 volt switches up before I threw the discharge. So I'll talk more about like the exact numbers later. But we'll see I get that discharge through. One more volt switch and I can get a discharge, and you can see another smackdown just flies through there. So Galvantula will have fainted once this charge move ends. But I got the Bastiodon to about 25% health, so that's pretty normal, isn't it? Let's take a look at PvPoke Sims. Thanks, PvPoke, for having the software to do this. But if you look at the simulator, we can only get to 1 discharge if we throw it after 3. We don't get any bonus discharges, and the opposing Bastiodon is at 50% health. So I throw Castform Rainy, like not Shield. We're just going to super fast forward through everything here to show how it kind of affected the game. And now my Shadow Hypno is against what I expected to be a Victreebel and something else. Luckily it's a Toxicroak. And if we slow it down here, and if you can see, I get an entire another fast move there because they timed their charge move incorrectly. So it took a combination of me timing my charge move correctly to get that extra discharge in, and them timing it incorrectly for me to get an entire free confusion in for me to win that game. But I thought it was just a good example showing what happens if you do it correctly and what happens if you don't. So a lot of you might be confused about what I'm talking about right now, so I'm just going to go into the very basics of it. We're going to need to go over just the basics of how GBL works really quick. So time in PvP is split into segments. They're called turns. Each turn is 0.5 seconds in real time. And fast moves have durations that can go from 1 turn to 4 turns. So 1, 2, 3, or 4 turns are the only possibilities. So each charge move, when you tap that charge move button, that takes 1 turn to activate. But then when a charge move is activated by any player, their opponent, that Pokemon gets to finish off whatever started on their fast move. So ideally you always want to activate your charge move on the last turn of their fast move. And so if you look down here, I made these diagrams. These diagrams will show up a lot more, so just get you comfortable with it. So we're assuming in this case that they have a 4-turn charge move. That's what this bottom line indicates. This red line is the last turn of their charge move, and then the white is just empty turns. And then I've indicated this with gold. This turn right before their last turn, and that's when you want to be pressing your charge move button right after. So still, this is very confusing. It's a very confusing thing if you've never heard of it before or never really been doing it. Even experienced Pokemon Go players, ranked 10s, I see a lot of them don't do this. It took me a very long time to get comfortable with this. And I want to talk about piggybacking a little bit because this might come up in the comments. So piggybacking, it refers to throwing a charge move right after another charge move. Either you throw 2 in a row or you throw 1 right after them, in an attempt to avoid giving the opponent any free turns. So this seems to be only partially effective, and a lot of the top players I've talked to, they have no idea why it's effective sometimes and why it's not. So the main reasons for not throwing back-to-back charge moves is that it lowers the consistency of your play. If sometimes you're letting an extra move through and sometimes you're not, the matchups are not going to be the same every time. If you just time your charge moves correctly, you'll have consistent gameplay and you'll be winning matchups consistently or losing them consistently. You'll know if your Pokemon can win or lose that matchup. And then it's not as good as properly timing your fast moves or your charge moves, like what I'm about to show you on average, because if it's 50% of the time you're letting through an entire free charge move and you're doing it versus a 3 or 4 turn charge move, that means half the time they're going to be getting a full one through. Whereas if you're timing your charge moves, they'll only get maybe an extra bonus turn of fast moves through. So to take it easy, we're going to take a look at what to do versus if they have a 1-turn fast move. So because every single turn is taken up and every single turn is red, the space before every turn, so every turn is also yellow. What this is pretty much saying is you don't need to worry about timing your charge moves versus 1-turn moves. They're going to get that free turn anyways, and that's that. So this takes out 4 scenarios right off the bat. Let's take a look at versus 2-turn charge moves. So this is where it starts to get a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, we can see if you have a 1-turn move, or for all of these turns moves that you might have, you can see the same red and gold diagrams at the bottom. You want to be lining up your fast move with that gold bar. So if we look at 1-turn, for example, I have light green to denote when your fast move is going through, and dark green shows a light green line lined up with the golden line. So those are when you optimally should be using your charge move after. So if we look at this 1-turn versus 2-turn move, you want to hit one fast move first and then throw your charge move. So if you look at the dark green lines, you can see you want to throw either 1, 3, 5, 7. It's a pattern repeating. So we're looking at every odd number. You want to throw an odd number of fast moves after a reset. And then if you look at the 2-turn, it doesn't really matter. If you both have 2-turn moves, you're going to be giving them a free move anyways, regardless of where you time it. And then at 3-turn moves, it looks like you're going to want to be, they only line up every other time as well. So it's going to be 1, 3, 5 moves. I find it's much easier to think about this in terms of how many of your fast moves you need versus how many turns. It's much harder to remember that you need to throw 9 turns worth of stuff versus just 3 moves. And then if we go back to 4-turn versus 2-turn, if you have a 4-turn versus 2-turn, you don't have to worry about it either, because you're just going to give them free charge moves, free fast moves regardless. So this is going to be pretty confusing, but that's why I'm going to go through a bunch of gameplay examples to hopefully nail this down a little bit. And there's going to be a very helpful table later on, which will help you remember this a lot better. So versus 3-turn moves, it's the same thing. I just want to blast through this. You guys can pause the video anytime and kind of just look at these charts a bit closer, because I'm going to go over these a lot better. You can see now you want to throw 2 moves if you have 1 turn before throwing the charge move. And then for 2-turn, you want to throw 1 fast move beforehand. So we're going to blast through this again. Here's the 4-turn moves. I'm not going to cover them. Pause this if you need to just take a look at the monitor to kind of see what's happening here. But the next slide, I'm going to go over a lot of that'll be the main meat of what you might want to remember and how to help you remember it. So this is I think the easiest way to remember what you should be doing during GBL. So the optimal number of fast moves after each reset. So here I'm defining reset as any event in PvP that syncs your fast moves with those of your opponent. So that's either when you use a charge move, after that charge move you guys both start again, or after Pokemon faints, obviously you guys both start again. So those are 2 points which are very important to kind of determine when you should be throwing your charge moves. And perhaps the easiest way is this table to remember. On this axis, you see this is your fast move length, and then on this axis, you see it's their fast move length. So if you're 1-turn versus 1-turn, obviously you don't need to worry about it. If you have the same amount of turns as your opponent, that's this line here, you don't need to worry about it. And if they have a 1-turn fast move, you also don't need to know about it. So these are the number of fast moves that you need to be optimally before you throw your charge move, so you don't give them any free fast moves. And this can be very daunting. There's a lot of different numbers in here, but what's very important to remember is mainly the first number. So you can see there's a lot of 1s here. You honestly, rule of thumb, if you're going to take anything from this video, maybe it's the rest is too complex to work in right now. If you throw 1 fast move, it'll generally make your situation better. So a lot of these, the optimal is to just throw 1 fast move. Some of them are 2, but even, for example, in this case, for this 2, if you threw 1 only, you'd still be better off than not throwing any at all. And then the way to calculate the next numbers. So I've highlighted these first numbers in red. Those are the ones that you're going to probably have to remember. And you can figure them out with some logic, right? Like if the opponent fast move is 4 turns and your fast move is 1 turn, you can fit 3 of them in before their last turn of that fast move so that you can throw the charge move there. For the numbers afterwards, you just add the number of their turns. So, for example, if it's 1 turn versus 2 turns, the first one is 1 turn, and then the next one will be however many of these after. So 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. That's how you get all odd numbers. Except for 4 versus 2. You'll still be right if you added 4 every time, but because it's an exact multiple of 4, you can also hit as close as you're going to get off of 3 and 7. So still, I understand this might be a little bit confusing. I'm going to go through some gameplay footage to show some of these counting. So here's first one is 1 turn versus 2 turn. In this case, you have a Rainy Castform versus a Toxicroak. So water gun user versus counter user. And I know it takes 12 water guns to get to Weather Ball, but I'm going to throw 13 because just so that they don't get a bonus fast move off there. Any odd number will do. That's what I've learned about this 1 versus 2 turn thing. 1 versus 2 turn can be common if you run Pokemon like Altaria or Rainy Castform, but generally speaking, you don't really see too many 1 turn Pokemon. And I'm going to throw 5 more, I think, here, and then throw Weather Ball. So just so they don't get another move there. But yeah, even if they are only running a 2 turn fast move, worst case, I'm not giving them that much. So that's like a low important scenario. So if we take a look here, now we have Altaria versus Shiftry. This is a 1 turn versus 3 turn. A lot of the best Pokemon actually have 3 turn moves, so these are important to learn. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I go. So I'm going after 8 attacks, just so I don't want them to get an extra snarl, especially against Shiftry. Any extra snarls is absolutely huge for that Pokemon. So I'm going to attack again, and I'm not really counting at this point because I know they'll probably throw a charge move before I do here. So I'm going to let it through, but remember, this is a reset of counting. Even though maybe I've thrown 5 Dragon Breaths before this point, it's a complete reset in counting. It looks like I'm probably going to have to shield up another move here. Yeah, I am. And it's a foul play. So I'm going to take this energy into the next matchup. And we're going to see that this is also a 3 turn. So I'm going to throw 1, 2, and then a hit. And if you look at the chart, 2 moves is ideal in the 1v3 scenario, 2, 5, 8, or 11. So we're going to look here, and I'm going to go for, it looks like 8 moves. So 8 fast moves again, and I'm not letting this guy get a single extra turn. It's not as easy to see as in the very first example how beneficial that was, but I'm able to get to that all-important Sky Attack before they are able to throw Bone Club there. Not that the Bone Club KOs anyways, but very important to kind of get that damage through just in case they had a different charge move instead. So I'm not going to show the 1 turn versus 4 turn because it's the same thing as 1 turn versus 3 turn, 1 turn versus 2 turn. It's just you're going to 3 instead. So it's 3 and then 7. So in 2 turn versus 3 turn, I kind of want to highlight this especially because this is probably the most common of the matchups. So I'm just countering here because I really want them to throw a charge move to reset. But I've been countering for so long, I kind of just realize our fast moves line up and I throw 1 and then I throw my Body Slam. But now that there's a reset that's happened, so it looks like we actually CMP tied in this case. But now that there's a reset that's happened, it's much easier for me to count. I wasn't counting counters before, there was just too many. But now I throw 1 and I throw Body Slam. So 2 versus 3 is very important. There's a lot of 2 and a lot of 3, and a lot of the 3 turn fast move Pokemon are very meta. So Azumarill, Skarmory, Shiftry, like we talked about earlier. I throw another 1 counter, and I'm going to throw this Body Slam. And another thing is that a lot of these matchups in 2v3 are very, very close. So like Azumarill versus Vigoroth in the 2 shield is a very, very close situation. Deoxys defense very close as well. So it's important that you kind of do everything you can here. And I'm going to throw one more and then a charge move. But they're smart and they catch it on their Skarmory, which I think in this scenario is fine for me too. I'm just going to move into Bastiodon. And they have a Switch Lock Skarmory. They're just going to give up. So not sure if timing charge moves here did anything exactly, but it's good to do. So we're going to look at 2 turn versus 4 turn now. And 2 turn versus 4 turn is pretty much the same thing as 1 turn versus 2 turn. It's just like doubled in length. It's just a slower version of it. So you just want to throw it an odd number amount. So that first time I threw it, I think after, was it 1 attack? And that resets it. And they're going to throw a charge move here. I'm going to let it through. It's going to be a Thunder Punch. And I'm going to throw 1 more attack and then throw my charge move. So you can see I'm not letting them get another full confusion in there. That's just the confusion that they first sent. So I get a charge move and a fast move for one of their fast moves here. And once again, we're going to sync up. And I'm going to shield. And now because a charge move is thrown, it's easier for me to just throw 1 and then throw Thunderbolt. But obviously, I would not prioritize this mechanic. If you're able to feint the other Pokemon, or you need to throw a move before your Pokemon faints, by all means, do however many fast moves you need to do. You just need to get it in. This is mainly a good scenario for when you know that you won't be fainting very soon, or you're willing to spend shields. So in this case, we have the 3 versus 2. This is also very common. And this is also one of those where you just have to throw an odd number of fast moves. So I think I throw 3 there at the beginning. And we're going to see this might actually end up being a pretty long matchup. Bastiodon is not the greatest into Galarian Stunfisk, but I really do not need to be giving him free mud shots, as I need every little bit I can get. And he throws an Earthquake, which gives me hope that I can get to another Flamethrower here, which would be huge in this particular game. And once again, he syncs up our moves, and because he throws an Earthquake, I know I'm safe for a while. So even if I did need to throw 3 Smackdowns, I probably would have done it. But in this case, I get to the Flamethrower after 1. So that's just showing you just need to get 1 attack off, and then I swap into Galvantula and probably lose that game pretty hard. But it was just another example showing how to time moves. So here we have 3 versus 4. You have Bastiodon going into Jirachi. And in 3 versus 4, it's kind of the same thing. You want to throw 1, and then if you miss that, you're going to be attacking for a long time. So most of the time, especially when these fast move lengths get longer, you really only have to remember the first number. So for example, I'm going to take this, I'm going to attack once, and I'm going to get a Flamethrower off. So I get that fast attack, that Flamethrower, all for just one of their confusions. If you throw 2, for example, you're going to let them get 3 confusions in for your 2. So, and this is the last example. Or no, this is not the last example. This is 4 versus 3. So we have Skarmory versus Hypno. And you can see I'm just charging up here. I'm waiting for them to reset because 4 versus 3 is kind of confusing. You have to throw 2 at the beginning, 2, 5, 8, or 11. But what I found with this is it's actually kind of confusing. So I throw 2 here, and then I'm going to go for the Thunder Punch. A lot of the time, if you do this, they're just going to keep throwing fast move or charge move after charge move. But you're going to see I'm going to do it again. And I'm barely going to get to the charge move here. But because I timed this correctly, I'm actually going to get to another charge move. Obviously on the last one, that's an example. If your Pokemon's going to faint, throw the charge move. Don't time anything. But because of that, I force another shield. And in this case, I'm now up 2 shields with only 3 Pokemon, but I'm going to be able to farm down the Skarmory. So I guess I don't want to say that this technique will turn a mediocre player into a great player, but it's more of a technique that will put a like a great player already and push him to like another level. I would say him or her. But yeah, if you liked this kind of video, please leave me a comment or subscribe for more videos. These videos take me a lot longer to make than just the gameplay videos. A lot more effort goes into them. And if you have any more questions, it's hard for me to tell if what I've taught is taught thoroughly because I already know what I'm currently talking about. But it might be hard for you guys to understand. So please just leave any questions in the comments or and just let me know if this is the kind of video that you guys are interested in, if you guys are interested in improving and working on mechanics and stuff like that, or if you guys just want to see some spice picks or whatever. But yeah, once again, thanks for watching.